leadership styles presented throughout the movie, 12 Angry Men, as there were jurors depicted. And as in real life, some jurors demonstrated various leadership styles at different times. From the hurried cynic to the methodically slow and deliberate decision makers, one thing was for certain. Juror number 1 was the designated leader. He also exemplified a strong democratic leadership style. He involved the group in decisions by stating, "If it's all right with you," or "You gentlemen can handle this any way you want." Even when he made a decision, he gave 2 options. We can vote now, or we can discuss it. This is all democratic style, and it worked well for these parliamentary decisions. But it weakened his authority when the group cannot maintain a consensus. And that's where Juror 8 begins to transition from dissenting voice to deliberate decision maker. Juror number 8 would go on to emerge as a leader of the jurors, and more importantly, the architect of a young man's freedom. He was a servant leader in every sense of the word. He listened, he had empathy, he was persuasive, and he built a team. He listened to understand and allowed others to finish their thoughts before he spoke. He practiced a collaborative style of leadership when he agreed to abstain from the second vote and abide by the group's decision if not one additional juror member voted not guilty. From the opening title to the closing credits, juror number 8 demonstrated and practiced the 5M model of leadership effectiveness. He had model behavior during trying times. He motivated 11 other jurors to reconsider their initial perceptions. He managed the process by asking for exhibits when needed, and he solicited the opinions of his fellow juror members. He called for votes to see where the group stood, and finally, he mentored members by standing up for them when other beliefs were attacked.
I'm going to be analyzing the participation portion of our group paper, the task roles. First one was the coordinator. This person serves as the group manager, the foreman, the guy who makes sure the goals are met, that order is kept. And this was most definitely juror number 1. He was the one who was in charge of the voting and keeping that going, and he was like telling the group when they were going to take a break. Another task role that I noticed was the information providers, and these people really give the baseline information for the group. And I noticed that this was going to be juror number 3 and number 4 at the very beginning when they were asked to give their reasons for why they chose a guilty verdict. These two really set the stage for the baseline information that we had throughout the film that was later questioned. And then after that, I also noticed that we did have a questioner, which is another task role, and this was juror number 8. He questioned the case. He brought up all of the holes in the testimonies, about the old man's hearing, about his ability to walk to the door fast enough to see the boy running down the stairs. He questioned how unique the knife actually was. So he did a really great job of making sure the group was analyzing and fully thinking through their decision. And as far as the social maintenance roles, there was only really one that I found was worthy of noting, and that was juror number 9. He was most definitely a supporter. When in the movie, when they were asked to do a private revote to see if anyone else would change their verdict to not guilty, he was the one that changed his vote in order to support juror number 8.
They did not have a collaborative climate. As stated in the book, if the communication climate of a group is hostile, defensive, apathetic, ruthlessly competitive and or inconsiderate, group morale and productivity will decline. Some group dialectics that occurred were individual goals and group goals. This was seen right away when everybody voted guilty and only one juror voted not guilty. Another group dialectic was conflict and cohesion. Also, as mentioned in the book, chiller group climax make defensiveness occur, creating tension. Also, some nonverbal communication occurred throughout the movie. Face expressions they made at one another, also when they would stand up and walk around, either to prove a point or to make it seem like they had enough. All the jurors turned their backs because they did not want to hear it. Nonverbal communication was the chest to chest, when the men would get really close to one another due to all the tension. They were taking things too personal, and they were forgetting about the common goal. Procedural conflict occurred when juror number 1 tried to keep things in order. So substantive conflict occurred when juror number 8 pulled out a switchblade that was identical to the murder weapon. Substantive conflict also came along with resolving misunderstandings, creative problem solving, effective decisions, and this was very good in order to make the right decision, either guilty or not guilty. Personal conflict also occurred, and this brought along disagreement, differences in personalities and communication styles, conflicting core values and beliefs, especially when the older juror number 9, was trying to talk, and then juror number 3 went and interrupted him, and then another juror told him to respect elders, or else he was going to clock him. Conflict styles that occurred were accommodating conflict that happened with juror number 12. He first voted guilty, then not guilty, then guilty again, and then not guilty, because he did not know how to back up his own ideas, so he went along with everybody else's. And then juror number 8 was the only one that was collaborating.
Our textbook, Working in Group, states that an argument is a claim supported by evidence and reason for accepting it. A few key benefits of an argument is it helps promote understanding, critical thinking, and improves group decision-making. All 3 of these were key benefits in the film 12 Angry Men. The jurors had to take all of the evidence and information provided to them and truly understand and analyze it. They then had to come together to make a group decision of whether this 18-year-old boy was guilty or not guilty of stabbing his father. In 12 Angry Men, the jurors used deliberative argumentation, which is the process of reason and ethical interaction that helps members reach the best conclusion or make the best decision. Again, they had to come together to make the best decision for this boy. Throughout the film, 11 men voted guilty and 1 voted not guilty. It was through deliberative argumentation that the group came to a final 12-0 vote of not guilty. Each juror stated their claim or conclusion, which was guilty or not guilty. Then each juror stated their evidence, or their facts and opinions of why they chose guilty or not guilty. If their facts or opinion was valid, they had a warrant which justified their claim. That would then become a qualifier, which is when the claim can appear to be true. Unfortunately for the 11 that voted guilty in the beginning, they had reservation when it came time to providing their evidence as to whether the boy was guilty or not guilty. It was only the 1 juror that voted not guilty in the beginning that was able to provide enough evidence and validate his claim for it to become a qualifier. Through all of the evidence provided by this 1 juror, all of the 12 jurors were able to come together and make a final decision in what they felt was the best decision for this boy, which was not guilty.